Whether through uncoordinated teamwork, blind luck, whatever you want to call it, the Chicago Blackhawks are back in the postseason, taking on the 47-win Colorado Avalanche in the first round. Now, when mainly meaning me, when I happen to win a playoff series, you guys decided it was a cool idea, and I agreed. Obviously, we went with it, that for every series that I win, I get to veto a trade. And obviously, this past season, that didn't really factor in that much because Milbury didn't really make any trades. And that's mainly due to the fact that we're pretty cash-strapped. Like, there's just not really that much maneuverability after the moves that he made in the offseason with Mrazek, Shesterkin, bringing in Murphy and Brendan Smith as well. So it's not really that surprising that he wasn't able to make moves. The topic of conversation has shifted to now what happens if Milbury wins. Do I have to, accept the trade if it comes through still? Which is a little bit difficult to pull off because the settings that you use would mean he'd be in control of the roster, which means he could make really any move he wanted. So, while we're sitting there waiting to be like, oh, what's the trade going to be? He could technically sign a free agent because I'm fairly certain, like 99% certain, the team moves also, that would allow him to sign a free agent would also allow him to set up the trade block. So that would be a bit of an issue. There's also been the topic of it could be that, okay, if he wins a round, then, I wouldn't earn a veto for that round, right? Like, I have to go further than he goes. There's different ways to discuss that, and we'll get to it if we happen to win this series against Colorado. There's also been the topic of discussion of what happens when someone wins the cup. Do you maintain control of the team for an extra year? Again, let's not jump the gun on what happens if someone wins the Stanley Cup. It could very well happen this season. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But again, even before that, the next bridge to cross is going to be what happens if this Milbury-led team at the moment gets out of the first round. What reward does Mike get? Does he cancel out one of my vetoes? Does it change the way I'm allowed to make moves in the offseason, perhaps? Of course, beyond the fact that, for example, Casey Cizikas, if he was signed for an extra year, we'd be stuck with him. I'm stuck with Jesper Fast heading into next year, which is fine. Of course, I can't change anything about this lineup either, so it will be Kainstrom, DeBrincat, Kubalik, Doc, Nylander, Jenner, Taves, Barrett, Quenneville, Cizikas, and Fast. The defense, Pulock, Jones, Mitchell, Boqvist, Dillon, and Connor Murphy, who was also only signed for the rest of this year. The goaltending, of course, was signed by Mr. Milbury, Shesterkin, and Mrazek. It has Shesterkin listed as the starter. There's nothing I can do to change it. I would hope that Mrazek's going to be the guy. And, of course, Devin Shore, thankfully, his contract's up. I don't think we have any contract extensions. So still a lot of unanswered questions as we move forward, and it really does hinge upon whether or not we end up winning a round, and the time will ultimately tell. Now, I am intrigued. Expiring contracts, of course, Kane's deal's up, Taves, DeBrincat, Kubalik. Literally the worst thing that could happen is us winning the Stanley Cup this year, because that means I wouldn't have control over this offseason. I am actively rooting against us winning the Stanley Cup, because I'm okay with the idea that, yeah, if I win a cup, I get control of the team for an extra year. That's a fine idea. But that means if that's what we're doing, at least I, have to actively root against Milbury winning, because this is the most important offseason we could possibly face. Kane's deal is up. Thankfully, he's only looking for $8 million. Jonathan Taves' deal is up. He's looking for under $5 million, which is spectacular. Kubalik's deal is up. He's looking for $5 million right now. DeBrincat, though, almost $11 million. Boqvist is looking for almost $5 million. Ian Mitchell is looking for $5.5 million. It's a very important offseason, so gotta be honest, I have to actively root against this team. I am rooting for Colorado in this series. Why would I not? Like, yeah, it's my team, but there is no benefit to me or for me whatsoever if this team wins while Milbury is in control. It benefits me in no way whatsoever. This is the team that we are up against in round one. Andre Burakovsky, Nathan MacKinnon, and Mikko Rantanen. Matthew Savoy, now a second-year pro in Season 1. He put up 33 points in 81 games. He's next to Vladislav Nemesnikov and Gabriel Landeskog. Third line of Jonas Donskoi, Nazem Kadri, and JT Compher. Fourth line, Arturi Lehkonen, Vladislav Kamenev, and Tyson Jost. The defense is Bowen Byram and Cale Makar. Good God. Connor Timmins and Sam Girard. Jonas Brodin and Marco Scandella, the Minnesota connection. The goaltender is Thomas Greiss. Alrighty then. Thomas Greiss spent 2 seasons here in Chicago. Marc-Andre Fleury is the backup. Ruben Pojar. Pojar. Former 9th overall pick as a healthy scratch. Shane Bowers and Mike Riley are as well. So with that said, let's get down to business. Let's go Avs. We are, again, we as in you, maybe you, I am certainly a fan of the Avalanche here. First period of game 1 and a good start for Chicago. Is it weird for me to say Chicago as instead of us? Because it's not us right now. It's Mike and the boys. Alex DeBrincat on the power play and Patrick Kane as well. They doubled us up in shots. We lead by 2. Second period. Oh, boy. Well, whatever the benefit for Mike is going to be, it's looking good. Seth Jones makes it a 3-0 lead. Both teams, good God. Alex Nylander makes it 4. Both teams on a hot note heading into this postseason. And right now, this team that we helped craft is looking pretty damn good. Unfortunately, Colorado wastes another power play, a ton of shots, but whether or not it's Shesterkin or Mrazek, they got the job done. 4-0 final. The Blackhawks defend home ice. Igor Shesterkin with a 34-save effort in the victory, even though, again, Mrazek looked like the better option to start the postseason. He had the better regular season at the very least, but all in all, a dominant 34-save effort. And Mike is one step closer, 3 wins away towards a reward. We will jump into game 2. Again, I'm not allowed to make any lineup changes. That's just not something I can do. We cannot touch this team. It's not ours. Game 2, let's go Avs. First period, and a much better start for Colorado. Ian Mitchell gets the opening goal, but Kadri, Girard, and Makar, 3 goals in under 2 minutes on Shesterkin. The Avs, another big shot advantage, 12-5, and now leading 3-1 on the board. Second period, it gets better. Rantanen on the power play. DeBrincat gets one back. MacKinnon and Savoy. It's not Savoy, it's Savoy. Go to Elite Prospects, and if you disagree with them, take it up with them. It's Matthew Savoy. 6-2. There's also news. Trust me, I've watched news clips, and in local news coverage, they call him Savoy, and I think they would have asked him. 6-2 for the Avalanche, which is spectacular news. It is, of course, extremely bizarre to have to root for a team to suck when you've built them to be a cup winner, which we pretty much have. I mean, again, if you're tanking, you actively root for your team to suck. This normally isn't the time for that, but thankfully Colorado, after that goal from Connor Timmins, just to make sure, they're going to take this game convincingly. 7-2 is the final score. For some reason, Shesterkin played the entire game. I'm glad the goalie switch logic is as bad as it is. Again, you really should have an option to switch that, but ultimately, the coach sticks with Shesterkin. He gets lit up. Jenner, Pulock, Jones, Nylander, and Doc were all terrible, as was Shesterkin. Why Peter Mrazek did not see the net, I do not know. Really, he should have been switched in. Kubalik is apparently injured. We'll have to see if it's a serious injury that's going to cause him to miss time. As the AHL season comes to a close, the Rockford Ice Hogs have made the playoffs after a 52-win season. They'll be hosting the Manitoba Moose in the first round. As indeed, that injury to Kubalik has him out. So it's Devon Shore drawing in on the fourth line. John Quinville up to the third line with Barrett and Jenner. Jonathan Taves up to the second line now next to Kirby Doc and Alex Nylander. So let's take a look at how long we are going to be. That's right, you can't see the injury report from there, which is like the one thing you definitely want to see. Let's see how long Kubalik's out for. The answer is unknown. We have no idea how long Kubalik's out for. So we go into Game 3 in Colorado without him. A pretty big loss to injury, which again is spectacular news for your old pal Tug here. First period of this third game, and a damn good start for Colorado. The Minnesota connection, Scandella and Brodin. Mrazek was in, and it didn't really help. They outshot us 16-6. We're down by 2. Second period is scoreless. The shot's a little bit closer, but the Avs still in control. One goal would do it. Chicago to the power play. It goes to waste. One more goal from Colorado will seal the deal and give them a 2-1 series lead. Might not be done just yet, but it's looking pretty good for the Avs and pretty good for me. This should do it. Colorado takes Game 3 by the score of 2-0, a 31-save shutout for Thomas Greiss. Where was that goaltending last year? Mrazek wasn't bad, but he was not good enough. Colorado wins it. Marcos Scandella and Jonas Brodin leading the way. And obviously just a brutal game for us. Boone Jenner is turning into one of my worst moves ever. That new third line was bad. They were bad. They were bad. So Colorado has a 2-1 series lead after dropping Game 1. They've outscored us 9-2 after we beat them 4-0 in Game 1. So interesting turn of events, all things considered. Do we have an update on Kubalik? We do. It's a concussion, and he is out until May 18th. So he'll be gone for a month, if we even make it that far. We jump into Game 4. I can't make any lineup changes, so for those of you who hate that aspect of the way I play franchise mode, don't worry, there's literally nothing I can do. I'm not allowed to touch it. First period of Game 4, and a 1-0 lead for the Avs. Nathan MacKinnon scores. We outshot them for once. It didn't matter. Second period. Holy goals. Oh my God. A 7-goal second period. Oh my God. Matt Savoy makes it 2-0. Doc with 2 quick goals ties it at 2. 3-2 Burakovsky, 4-2 Landeskog, 5-2 Brodin, 5-3 off the back of the Patrick Kane goal. 7 goals in 11 minutes and 11 seconds. 11-11. Make a wish. We go to the third. Goaltending need not apply. Power play for the Avs. They score. Jonas Donskoy, 6-3. And unfortunately, the goaltending choice for Milbury falling short, to say the least. Of course, we were stuck with Greiss last year. Had no choice but to keep him. Alex Nylander gets one back, but that's going to be too little too late. The goaltending, the defense, everything going wrong for the Blackhawks. This has been brutal. We lose 6-4, and the Milbury dream now hanging on by a thread after another disappointing game. Kirby Dach had a great game, but yeah, they did some damage on the power play. And again, Mrazek was brutal, and for whatever reason, the game just does not change out goaltenders. It's incredibly dumb. So we have been outscored 15-6. That's great. Game 5 back in Chicago. To take a look around elsewhere, though, Anaheim already advancing. Minnesota awaits the winner of this series. And in the East, only the Islanders have moved on thus far. Without Dominik Kubalik, without the ability to change the lines and decide what goaltender to roll with, we are in a lot of trouble. One of these 2 goaltenders needs to step up. I don't know who it's going to be. It looks like we're going to be starting Mrazek. Game 5. We need to win. Can we dig ourselves out of this hole? Or will will the season end here without us even having to worry about what kind of benefit Mike gets? Because he won't at all. It won't be up to him. It won't be. First period of Game 5, and a good start for the Hawks. Boone Jenner and Alex DeBrincat on the power play. Shots were about even. Second period, scoreless. 20 shots to 19. Still 2-0 on the board. So looking good for Chicago here. Power play for Colorado goes to waste off an equalizer. Hawks can't take advantage. Just trading opportunities here. Nobody able to come up with a goal in the first 10 minutes of the third period, though 7 minutes remain. Nemesnikov scores on the power play. Is it too little too late? Is it? Is it? It is. Game 6 will happen. A 2-1 victory for the Hawks with their backs against the wall. Peter Mrazek stands tall with a 33-save effort. And this will continue onward. Seth Jones, solid game. No minus players because of the power play goal. Again, Mrazek was fine. Question now is, can the Hawks find a way to win another one? Can they find a way? St. Louis will play Vegas. The winner of this series will play Minnesota. In the East, you have a Game 7. Again, the Islanders still the only team to advance. Colorado looking to punch their ticket to the second round to take on the Minnesota Wild. We look to stop them. Game 6. The we has really turned. How the we has turned in terms of who we includes. Right now it includes Chicago. Still, I'm loyal to the team, but I can root for their shortcomings. First period and an early goal for the Avs. Matt Savoy has the difference maker thus far here in this what could ultimately be decisive Game 6. 10 shots to 8. Second period, Colorado up by 2. Ian Mitchell tied it. It didn't last. McKinnon and Byram, the big names, stepping up. It's a 2-goal lead for the Avs despite a difference in shots that, is on our side of things. Here we go. We're going to need to see a Herculean effort from the Blackhawks here, or this season will be over. Milbury keeps the team the same for the most part after a somewhat eventful offseason, and barring a miracle, we're going to fall short against the Avs. Tough team to draw. But the Avs are going to win this in 6. The Blackhawks fall short. And again, to answer the question of what Mike gets if he wins a series, I mean, you can still answer it in the comments, for future reference, but we're not finding out today because this team fell short. Mike has had 2 seasons worth of control and has 2 playoff wins to show for it. So, yeah, I have a season worth of control and we make it to the conference final. Just saying. For those of you who said, oh, Mike's doing well. I admit he did well, but still a choker in the playoffs, it would appear. Overall, a very disappointing end to our season. Again, I'm relatively happy about it because of how important the offseason is to us. Patty Kane wasn't good enough. And that kind of raises the question of what the hell do we look to do with Kane and Taves? I mean, I don't think we want to let them go, but a short-term deal and potential trade, that could be a possibility. Again, it wasn't my choice to get rid of Duncan Keith. It was my choice to get rid of Brent Seabrook, but some Hawks fans have wanted Brent Seabrook to be traded for a while. But it wasn't my choice to get rid of Duncan Keith. It would ultimately be my choice to get rid of Patrick Kane or Jonathan Taves. Dylan Strome was okay. No goals, though. DeBrincat was solid. Taves didn't do much either. Doc was fine. The penalty minutes were up there, though. There was just no secondary scoring, right? Yeah, 2 points from Jenner, nothing from Quinville. No secondary scoring on this team whatsoever. Pulock, meh. Jones, offensively good, but defensively, eh. Mitchell was okay. Boqvist didn't really do anything. Dylan didn't do much as a rookie, nor did Connor Murphy. And then again, the goaltending just completely failed. The goaltending completely failed to an embarrassing extent, if I'm being honest. So, again, we have a very, very busy offseason ahead of us. Now, might not be done. I mean, Rockford's in the playoffs. They're moving on to round 2. I mean, I'm not really too intrigued at following their journey. We'll see what happens with them, of course. We're supporting them. But ultimately, Mike could still re-sign somebody before I get to take control. I do not get to take control until the day the cup is awarded, as Kubalik is back. The Avalanche fire their head coach. So we lose to a team who ultimately fired their head coach as the Pittsburgh Penguins are crowned Stanley Cup champions. I have to wait until the official end of the season. And we're waiting for the Calder Cup playoffs. Of course, Rockford not in the final. The Belleville Sens win it all. So Colorado fires their head coach in response to a loss. We lost to them in round 1. Pittsburgh crowned champions as the cup goes back to the Eastern Conference. As Connor McDavid wins the Art Ross, Joel Farabee the Hart, the Norris to Shea Theodore, the Brinkett won the Bing, Bobby Brink the Calder, Crosby wins a Conn Smythe yet again, the Vezina to Ilya Samsonov, Jack Adams to LA, Bergeron wins a 4th straight Selke, Farabee wins to Ted Lindsay, and the Rocket Richard to Max Pacioretty. In the AHL, I believe that's Jack Pavanka put up the most points, Dmitry Sokolov as MVP, Grant Mismash the most goals, top rookie Cole Caulfield, top defenseman Brennan Manel, top goaltender Lucas Dostal, and Madge Shugard, Mads was MVP of the playoffs. So that sums that up, but let's look at the playoff tree. As Belleville beat the Iowa Wild in 7, Rockford ended up falling to Iowa in 7 in the second round. Colorado loses in the Cup final to Pittsburgh in 5 games, and they fire their head coach because of it. That is cruel. That is devastatingly cruel. That is heartless. But the Pittsburgh Penguins that ultimately win. Sidney Crosby was spectacular. Carson Kuhlman from the Bruins is there eventually. Jimmy Vesey. Brandon Sutter went back. Worked out for him. The defense, they ended up with Brody, P.O. Joseph. Of course, some players would have been sent down or technically retired at this point, I believe. And then Tristan Jarry was good enough to get it done. Good enough to get it done. So with that, we are back in control. No consequences from Milbury's control as he fell short. We're actually listed as a rebuilder. But obviously, the decisions ahead are going to be interesting. Our goaltending, yet again, is going to change. Defensively, I have to sign Boqvist and Mitchell. I mean, Dylan's there and deserves top 4 minutes, so there's going to be a change on defense. We'll see what happens with the depth options. I mean, thank God, I don't have to hold on to Murphy, Bogosian, Ruda. I do have to hold on to Brendan Smith, but he can be a healthy scratch. That's fine. And then forward-wise, again, we have some big contracts to figure out. I'm going to probably trade Boone Jenner because that just has not worked. But there are some decisions to make here, of course. And this team is going to change by a decent amount. Jesper Fast will be on this team as well. Of course, guys like Nosek and Entwistle, who I signed to be on the 4th line, Milbury didn't even use this year. So we are going to have to sort some things out. Of course, he's been in the habit of signing prospects, too, that I might not have necessarily signed. Ryan Francis, for example. There's a lot to figure out, but thankfully, we're back in control of this team with no extreme consequences. So I will see you in the next one. Again, feel free to let me know in the comments what you think should happen if Milbury wins. Of course, we discussed some options on a per-round basis earlier in this episode. Let me know what you think. And at the end of the day, I hope you all had fun. Thank you for watching, spending time with me. Hope I could, distract you for 20-some-odd minutes while we go through these very strange times, as we're all calling it. A friendly reminder to stay safe, wash your damn hands, do what smart people tell you to do, okay? Okay? Just be smart about everything right now, okay? Please, for me. Good. Thank you. Feel free, if you wanted to support the video, support the channel, it'd be appreciated. Check out everything in the description. Say hello to my dog. My dog. Emmy. Your tired dog. Looking at me like I'm crazy. But I love you for it. Shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. Speaking of loving you for it, I will see all of you in the next one. Until then, have a good one. Take it easy. Again, wash your damn hands. Social distancing. Stay safe. I love you. I'll see you soon.